Hey everybody. Let's see, it's 1 o'clock. I probably did a great job of getting people to know it's having. See, somebody's in there. Give it a minute or two to see who joins. I have this video today, just really as a quick way to talk about some of the companies coming out, because we're not going to do a full IPO this week. As I said in my post, sometimes life happens. There's just not enough time. And obviously, there's been so many IPOs over the last couple of weeks. I mean, we were double digits last week, double digits this week. So anyway, so this week we have about 11 that we're predicting. And I'll be the first to tell you up front on this one, we're not going to go real in depth on all these companies. What I really want to do is just go through who's coming out, very quick idea what they're about, maybe the days they're coming, and then after that we'll really open up to questions in the chat. So it's really what you guys want to talk about today. It's really what the purpose of the live stream is. So anyways, so far I don't see anybody on the chat, and sometimes I don't get to those, but I sometimes it gets away from me. So I will definitely check the chat. So definitely put that in there. And I know this is also pre-Super Bowl day. So if anybody's into the Super Bowl, feel free to pick who you're rooting for. David, there's one of my longtime subscribers. Good to see you. Good morning to you. And I understand too, depending on where you live, this live chat could be at different times. And I've tried to mix it up a little bit, only because, it's amazing to me how many, people across the world come in at different times. So this is our first weekend one, so we'll see how it goes. But anyways, so as we're getting started, and I will definitely talk about direct IPOs coming up, because I know that's a big topic. And I will tell you right up front, I am planning, and I've been planning for a while, to do a video specifically on the direct listings and in the new rules. So I know we talked a little bit on the last live stream. If you guys saw that, it's something I definitely want to get back to. So anyways, we got 13 people, so we're starting to pick up. Good. So anyways, let's quickly go through the list of companies coming out this week. I'll also give you the lockup expirations, and like we do on every IPO this week, but we're not spending that much time. And I'll be the first to tell you, so if you're looking for a lot of in-depth things on these companies, I did not get a chance to look through most of these companies' S1 filings. So it's really just a quick thing. And then after that, just really want to talk about what you guys have done. So, all right. So let's start off with number one on the list is one you will be hearing more about, and that's Bumble. I actually have pretty much this video put together, and that will probably, don't quote me, will release tomorrow, probably in the evening. So that's by far the big company on the list. Looks like, as you guys are probably, if you follow the company, it looks like they're going to come out on the 11th. So again, I have a lot more information on that one. We're going to talk about the background of the company. We're going to talk about some analysis. We're going to talk about the valuation as some of the competition. So those are things, so I'm really excited about that video. So on the lookout for that one. So that's the big one I'll be talking about this week on a specific video, I'm sorry. The next one, Signified Health is coming out. Just again, again, these are just very quick synopsis. They're coming out also on Thursday, the 11th. What they basically do is they provide a billing platform for in-house or in-home home health services. So something, if you're into like companies that get reimbursed by Medicare, which can always be an issue there. So next on the list is Loan Depot. That actually, if you watched the last week's video, they were supposed to come out this past week and they held. While I talked a little bit in that last video, so if you're interested in them, you can check that one back out. I feel it's a good company, but the problem is they do a lot with mortgages. And what we saw was, housing market was hot last year, but then with the refinancings and a lot of that's out of the way. And we had some IPOs scheduled like in November that a lot of them they postponed because there was concern with the numbers we're going to go for and how much interest. So I don't know if that was behind the delay. Didn't get a lot of details on that, but they're still supposed to come out. So if you're into Loan Depot, they should be coming out this week. Again, just don't have a date. we have, I've talked about in the comments a lot with some of my personal things on some of the Chinese companies. I'm always a little concerned on them, so I don't invest in them personally myself. But there is one coming out, and again, if I pronounce it wrong, I'm sorry. It's Klupin Group Holding, and they are a cloud communication provider. And so they're coming out on the 9th. So again, I don't really have a lot of details on them. Viant Technologies coming out on the 10th. And again, today, the dates I'm giving you today are actually the trading days. I know sometimes it gets a little confusing. I usually give the IPO dates, and then that's usually the day before the actual trading starts. So these are trading dates. Anyways, what Viant does is they basically have software that enables advertising buying processes. And they call it programmatic advertising. So again, a lot of this information is coming right from public stuff. I did not, again, look at the S1 file. I just want to quickly go through this. And Apria's next. They are coming on the 11th. So 11th is a big day here for a lot of new companies trading. It's a provider of integrated home health care equipment. So again, if you're into reimbursement, that a lot of times has Medicare involved. That's something to look at. Another Chinese company is a biotech. It's Adagene. They are early. They're a phase 1 company or biotech. And, I say this a lot because we talk about this in the comments. I'm always very skeptical on really early stage biotechs because it takes years for them a lot of times to get anything to market. And that's assuming they get to market. So you're really looking down the road if you're going into those. A couple more just for this week. Bioventus, they look at they look at trying to enhance the body's healing processes. Again, I don't know much about this one, but again, they're looking to come out on the 11th. And then there's, I know some people from the comments are really into the cannabis industry. There's a REIT that focuses on it. It's called AFC Gamma. They're coming out on the 11th. So if you're somebody that doesn't really, and I've talked about this before in past live streams and comments, I'm concerned about the actual product only because anybody can grow it potentially, but supports of the industry can be, could be a potential area for making some money. And then just 2 more, and I don't have the dates on either one of these. And I can't even say this one. Longeveron, they're focusing on cellular therapies, also early stage, phase 1, phase 2, and then a French company called Biophytus. They are focusing on a condition called sarcopenia, which I've treated as a treating clinician about that. It really has to do with loss of muscle mass. And they are in the phase 2 to 3 stage, so a little bit further. Well, they're in a phase 2 trial for sarcopenia, but they're also looking at pneumonia related to the COVID. So if you're interested in following pandemic type stocks, something you can look into. I don't have any details really on these ones. This is just very quick. And then finally, before I get to the chat, there are some lockups expiring, and I'll just give a quick plug. If you hadn't seen the video where I talk about lockup expirations and why we follow them and what that can potentially mean. I mean, you can't predict the future, but there are some trends. There's that video I put out a couple weeks ago. Definitely check that out. But for the lockups for this coming week, some companies that we definitely covered them all. KE Holdings and NetStreet are coming out on Tuesday. They're expiring on Tuesday. And then CureVac, which really was a company that did really good out of the gate. And Duck Creek Technologies, they are expiring on Wednesday. And then Big Commerce is on Thursday. So anyways, that's sort of a very abbreviated IPO this week. And again, any questions you have, definitely ask them. I may not have a lot on this company, on these companies this week, but if you're into Bumble, which is the big one, I'll have a lot more information on that video. And then the only other thing, and I'm proud, this might have come up already. I haven't gotten to the chat yet. It's already gotten busy here. Is Roblox. I know there's a lot of interest in Roblox. And the last that we've heard, which was really about a week ago, there was a delay from the SEC, had some concerns about how they were reporting revenue for their Robux. Because Robux could potentially be used immediately, or it can be sit and then the user uses it later. So they just want to get better ways for accounting is really what it comes out to. So I don't think that the direct listing is anywhere in doubt. I think it's just a little delay there. So as I get more information, definitely we'll talk about that. So let's, all right, so let's get to the chat here. So David, and I want to talk to you guys. And Tiff Local Life, thank you. Oh, I appreciate, thank you. Thanks for the comment. I enjoy doing it. When I have time, time is always the big issue. And I had a lot more time this last year with this whole pandemic, and I'd like to keep spending as much time as I can in it. Dave, you are you're in the Bay Area. So it's early for you. So I probably should have did this a little bit later, but my day is going to get crazy too. So, but different times, hopefully they'll have the opportunity from other people that never get the chance to get on. So anyways, but I know you're a great person when it comes to commenting and giving your thoughts. And I really enjoy that. So when you guys, comment, and I will tell you, sometimes these comments with YouTube doesn't always get to me, but I'm pretty good on at least the most recent videos. And I really do try to answer as much of them, if not all of them, that I can. So, anyways, I appreciate, David, when you do that. So thank you. Tamburan, you're very welcome. Again, just glad to have you guys want to listen to me. I know some people, I get the occasional comments, you're boring, but I guess everybody's so caught up into things like, 60-second videos and a lot of bouncing around and saying, buy this and don't buy that. And you're crazy, like that's just not what I'm about, and it's just not going to be. So anyways, what do you know about this, Jerome? What do you know about QL? They did an report 2 weeks ago. I haven't followed them recently. I haven't done a follow-up. That wasn't a company that like personally I focus closely on. So let me just write that down, and I will follow up. And if I find something, I will definitely put that into the comments in the replay, because I will post a replay. The ticker symbols. Oh, that's, what I'll do? Tell you what I'll do. When I post the replay in the description, I will put ticker symbols, because right now I am so low budget with this YouTube. I'm just using a regular webcam, and a lot of people use guest streaming software, and there's so many things I'm still learning. A lot of people in some of the early live streams were like, you're in any social media, and I really wasn't. Just not a big fan of it personally, but I understand how important it is. So this year I took my first baby steps and got on Instagram. So anybody has Instagram and hasn't followed me, you can look for me there. But I constantly trying to get this, get my technology savvy better. So Olga just asked about Roblox. So I don't know if you just jumped on, or if you asked it before that, but again, we expect it to come out just a little delayed. The whole expectation was to come out in February. It might get pushed back, but I don't see it getting pushed back past March, to be honest with you. And it may still be there. Coinbase and Robinhood. All right, so let's talk a little bit about that, because I've got a lot of questions on Robinhood in particular. So actually, let's go to Coinbase first. So Coinbase, I'm really excited about, because it's going to be a direct listing. Now, we don't have a date yet for that. And what my understanding is, because this is sort of a different type of a security that they're dealing with, the SEC is really going through their submitted paperwork for their filing, which again is not public yet. And until I have a public thing, I don't like to just sort of guess what's going on. But that one, we still do expect it to come early in the year. So this again was one of the top 7 companies we've talked about. I did in December. It's definitely see them coming sooner than later. Very excited about the direct listing, and really thought that's probably what they were going to do, just because of the whole things with IPOs, where which goes into the whole Robinhood and Gamestop and all that that happened in the last couple of weeks. And to talk a little bit about Robinhood, so I guess there's a couple of things. So a couple of weeks ago, everything's a couple of weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, I don't know, I made the video about Robinhood. Now, I did not add Robinhood as one of the definite IPOs coming earlier in the year, because I don't know. It's something they've been talking about for 3 years or so now. But I made sort of the case why they would come out this year. I probably have another follow-up that says the case that against them coming out this year. Although I still think they possibly could. Actually, they actually had a lot more people sign up, even though there's been a lot of frustration with it. So the thing with Robinhood is they've opened themselves up obviously to some issues, and when your core demographic are sort of the retail investors and the regular people, more like those are the people that you don't want to alienate, and that they took a huge hit with them with the restrictions that they had. And my whole feeling is, and I've said this in the comments, if you haven't seen it, I'll just sort of give a quick synopsis on that. I don't really understand in a lot of ways how short selling is even legal, and I know it's been around since the 1930s, and it's been studied since the 1930s. So it's not like this is anything new. And my whole feeling is, if you're a brokerage or a trading platform that chooses to choose to offer short selling, then my thing is you should be prepared to do it, and you shouldn't be able to restrict. Now, I know there's always these doomsday scenarios, and I think it has to be really clear if you're going to have those. But when you have people that really are depending on making that trade, and you choose to offer service, like I'm just a big believer, you need to offer it. And again, I know there's a lot of discussion and nuances in that, and I will break that into when I get to that video. So I do expect to do, we've talked about some things in the past. Definitely expect to do a direct listings video sooner than later. And again, we'll expect to do a Robinhood follow-up, like some of the issues that they had. So anyways, I can go on on about these, and I want to get to as many of these as possible. Moses Sias, what do you think about Palantir? So Palantir is probably, well, I don't say probably, it's the most popular stock on this company. If you look at the users or the views, they have the most. So that's why I come back to them. Plus, they're still technically in that newly public thing. And we've been focusing a lot on IPOs, obviously, and that is not the intent to be the only focus for the channel, even though it's just there's so much popularity, so I sort of went with it. But with Palantir, been pretty clear, and some people, they just don't get me on this. I think it's a really strong company, and it's a great company to own. But my thing has always been, buying it at the right price. And right now, I'm not even saying it's not the right price now. If you look at the valuations, it appears high when you look at it. And we put in the last video I put out, I talked about some of the comparisons that you could use Palantir in the industry. The problem with Palantir is it's really hard to put them as who their peers are, because they do some different things. Obviously, they're not a contractor, even though some people will put them as a contractor to the government. They'll be as a consulting company, and their software. So there's a lot of different things. My biggest thing with Palantir is I see a couple things. Like, I see people that really love the company, and I get it. But I also, and I think about this with the Super Bowl as a football team. Some people pick a stock and they love it like their favorite football team. And the problem is it can blind you if you have this, like, you just love it. It's a black and white thing and whatnot. My thing is there are nuances. And I'll take a whole different company that I think I've shared in the past. When the pandemic hit, is when I did a lot of buying. I haven't been able to buy too much now. The stock seems too expensive. But one of the companies I bought was Amazon, and Amazon at the time was around $1,600. And Amazon, everybody, you may not like Amazon, what they do, whatever, but it's a good company. They're gonna make money. So I bought it then. Would I buy it now? No, I wouldn't. It doesn't mean in 10 years it can't justify the value, but do I want to wait for the valuations to catch up to what it's trading for? Because over time, you could see it stagnate. And my concern with Palantir is if you buy it too high, even though 10 years down the road, it could still be a very strong company, whatever, but the stock doesn't always go, just because the company doesn't mean the stock price is always equal to that. And so I just try to give caution more than anything. It's not that I don't like the company, because I get that all the time. You don't like them, you're, whatever. You can say that, you can say what you want, but it's not that I don't like them. It's just that where it trades. And when it came out, I pretty much was asked day one, because we did that live stream on day one. And I said, I think it's not, could you argue maybe it's overpriced from where it was trading on the private markets? Maybe, but it's fairly priced. It wasn't like what Snowflake did on day one. Now you've talked about it, tripling from that price. And you got to remember, like the private investors that were into the company in the summer, right before the direct listing was announced, were trading it for like in the $4 range. So these are people that tend to really know they're not overpaying. So you got to take all that into perspective, and to see it jump this fast. Now, one of the things I'll say about Palantir, because I'm sure there's going to be more questions when one of the things I'll say with Palantir is I think that they've done everything they've done everything possible to not let this stock drop. So people have asked me with the lockups, because I've talked about that since before they went public. It's unique because direct listings that typically don't do lockup expirations. And what they did was like about 80% of their stock was not allowed to be traded. So when you have all this stock hitting, there's a chance it's, people are looking to, that bought it at $4 a share. They might take a go to 50, whatever, but they can capture a profit right now. But what I think Palantir has done has really drove interest in the company. They've done a lot of PR events. They did demo day. They are releasing information about contracts, which we're starting to see more on the private side or the enterprise side of their business, which is what I've said has always been their opportunity. Like they're very strong with the government. I don't worry about that. But when it comes to the foundry business, we want to see that. Now we're not getting a lot of details about how much money and all that, but we're starting to see more of that. And I think that will, in coordination or in conjunction with a good earnings report, and as I said in the last video, I really expect to have a good earnings report for this one. That's going to help the stock. Do I think it's going to crash? I don't think so by any means. Could it go into the mid 20s? I think that would be possibility. Could it dive a little bit going into the 19th? And then because people are scared of preparing for it, and then it doesn't really drop, and then people buy and it bounces back up, it could. So I will never tell you what I think the price is going to be, because I can't predict the future. So I see how I go on and on about that. All right, let me jump around here. Flimsy, I got the hat on, so Flimsy, I'm glad you could join. By the way, I know it's early for you. Yeah, I don't even play tennis, but you guys don't see me. My hair looks bad when I don't do it, so a hat's the way I got to do. You're very welcome. I'm glad to do a live stream. I enjoy doing it. It's a little nerve-wracking. You never know what someone's going to say on here. But you guys, 99.9% of this community, or people that probably subscribe, are really just really cool people, and this is really why I do it. There's like crazy comments that come out once in a while, and sometimes they're really good feedback. They're sort of mean sometimes, but I can handle it. But I really do it for the people that are looking to learn and really just appreciate a nuanced perspective versus just saying, me picking a name and say buy it, or I'm avoiding it, or I'm whatever. So if you like that nuanced approach, or you like to look at the good with the bad, probably someone I can help with that. So Omar, what's your favorite IPO? Now it depends what you're talking about. Like if you're talking about what's coming this week, the only one I've even, as I mentioned at the top of the thing, is Bumble. And and there's a lot to like about Bumble, and there's some things why you might not lock in. And I'm going to talk about that in the next video, so I'm not going to get too much of that. My favorite IPO, it's hard because I like a lot of them, but when you talk about where they're priced at, that's where the issue was. So if somebody would have said, in the summer, do you like Snowflake? I was like, yeah, I love Snowflake, but I didn't buy Snowflake. I just couldn't justify the price. And I've been hoping it would come down, and it really hasn't. And Snowflake to me is not that surefire going to grow big, because there is some of those nuances with how they have to buy, or basically their competitors, which is Amazon and Google and Microsoft. They have to they compete with them, but they also depend on them, and they have to pay them for the services. So while I love Snowflake, I like Snowflake, I wouldn't buy it for anything. The company that I would have liked to buy and didn't, because of, again, pricing was Airbnb. I really like the fact that it, they're market leader. They don't even really need to advertise it anymore. Everybody just talks about getting an Airbnb. And I've hoped that the price would come down. Now it did go down after the first day, but it's up too high for me. And I just want to see how it goes over time. And there's some lockups there too. So I tend to wait more than most people. Some people are on day one. That's not usually me. I'm usually, I just want to see how it shakes out, give it a few days. And then if it's trading high, so I'll tell you a recent one I did. And Flimsy, I know we talked about this on too. I had bought, I talked about this. I try not to give too much opinions unless I tell you it's my opinion, but I had looked back at Maravai Life Sciences, and their S1 was just really strong. And after I did IPO this week, I even put a community post and say, this one, and I think it was Neo Games, I really was impressed with. So anyways, I ended up getting Maravai after it had went down because it was like, it has, number one, has a lot of institutional support, but it was trading below below the IPO price. And so from my perspective, if it's trading below that IPO price, then that's what the banks, who we can disagree or whatever, but that's what they're valuing them, and they tend to know. And I bought them right before their quiet period ended. And so this was a quick turnaround of basically a $10 a share turnaround. So I just recently sold that. And I'm not usually a short-term person. I'm more of a long-term. So when people talk about all the options and all that, like I don't get into that. But when it comes to buying, I usually look at long-term. But Maravai, what I liked a lot about them, to me, there wasn't a company that I would typically want to own, but it just looked like an opportunity. So the fact that I made some quick money on it, I sort of like that. Star Buccaneers, I know you've been around with me for a while. It's great to see so many familiar names here. Yes, Bumble. There's a lot to like about Bumble, and I'll just give us a little preface because I've said this before, and this will come up in the video. I own stock in Match, and because I think, again, of the industry, I think there's growth there, and I like Match because they sort of had a lot to themselves. Now Bumble's coming in. I'll give you some thoughts on that. Spread positivity. Love hearing from you. I know you're on Facebook or Instagram with me, and I know you've been with me for a while, and your username says it all. So it's great to have you. I'm not good with all these names, but I've seen Mahuan. I'm sorry if I pronounce it, but I know you've been with some recent comments. I really appreciate you. You add some really good things to them, and I appreciate you with that comment too. David, SoftBank filed. I just saw that. And probably because I've been so busy, I didn't get the whole details with that, but I saw they filed 2 new SPACs as well. So yeah. Oh, there's a familiar name, Natalie. It's good to see you there. I know you're across the pond, as they say, and so I'm glad that you could make it on this one. I know you big person. You did very well with Palantir, and so just great to have you on board. Wasn't sure you were still out there, and I heard a lot from you for a while. And I know you're a big fan of Elon Musk, and I talked a little bit about him in that video where I talked about Cathie Wood and Chamath Palihapitiya, and because this guy, he makes a tweet and people go insane over it. It's amazing. So anyway, it's great to have you on. I'm glad that by again switching the times, that made it possible for you to jump on. Oops, this is what happens with the chat here, and we're already half hour in. It just ran away from me. Okay, Wolf and Posh. Okay, so great question. From Ola, I like that. Wolf, which was just Petco. As I put, that was one of those. These were both of those 7 top videos, or seven companies we were looking to IPO. So I talked about them early. The concern I had with Petco was just not a company I would invest in because they have a lot of debt, and I just didn't feel good about it. The thing with Poshmark is, I think they came out way too hot. And unlike a lot of other companies that have come out hot and have maintained it, like a firm is down, but they're still about where they came out. But yeah, Poshmark has just really gone down. And so I'm not sure why, although I just feel like it was probably overpriced early on. Do I think that it's a solid company going forward? I think it has some opportunities. Again, if they can continue to define their brand to become the brand of choice for, secondhand clothing or fashion or, whatever, having that core demographic of women, I really feel like they have a lot of opportunity there. But but again, like I'm that person that says everything seems too expensive to me, and Poshmark came out really expensive, and I was surprised that Petco actually traded above their IPO set price at all. I just thought that retailer investors probably wouldn't be all into it. I knew there would be some people that would be, because a lot of people do love companies that they can, they either go to or support or whatever. So I thought there was a thing, but just that big money, I just didn't think was going into there. So other than that, really don't have much on that. And as far as the Robinhood IPO, I would not count it out, but it's not coming anytime soon. They gotta really win over their users with trust. Now, like I said, the data has shown that they've actually had more people join versus people leave after all of this. But I think they have to, as they say, dot their I's and cross their T's. So, all right. I'm a new investor. I day trade. My style's a bit aggressive. I'm looking for, so penny stocks, I was into penny stocks 20 some years ago. And while you can do okay there, and you can actually, you can always hit it big, but it's a little tricky. And I'm not a lot of people have asked me comments lately about they'll throw a stock on, and I'm like, I've never even heard of it. So I look it up and I try to share, if I have the time, I try to share some basic thoughts on it. You have to be careful. But you have to be careful as a day trader, and so you're taking that short-term approach, and I think if you do it smart, you can do okay. A lot of the data says it's rough to come out ahead in the long run. So what I would tell you, Tiff Locally, is definitely just be careful. And as they always say, don't go crazy. Just do what you can afford to lose. Just a little nervous about that. And again, that's just because I just remember back, my perspective is different than a lot of people, only because I'm older. And probably a lot of the people on this chat and on the community, where I just saw this all through the .com era. And of course that all just exploded. People that were day trading, they were doing great until they weren't. And then they were doing real bad. So again, I'm not telling you what to do or not to do, because I believe in people making their best choices, which is why I typically don't tell anybody on stock you should buy this or don't buy that, because your situation, your money, if you like a company. And again, I don't claim to be an expert. I just try to share what my personal experiences are. David, UiPath. So that's the one company and the top 7. Haven't really heard any much more from. The 35 billion at the fundraising is an interesting number. It'll be interesting to see how many shares they're going to put and see what that's going to be priced. So it's definitely one I want to hear more about. BTAQ, really, Jaime Lama, I really don't have much to add there. I just don't really have anything. I have to be the first to tell you this last week has been really crazy for me, and not that everything's fine. Number one, everything's fine, but sometimes I get busy, and it's been hard. So I don't really have anything. And really, when you talk about some of these, a lot of people ask a lot about the SPACs. I haven't focused on those as much, although I think I'm going to start getting a little bit more focused on it. The question is, for me, is if there's a lot of IPOs, how do I break up the time? And so I think what I might be doing is do a little bit more targeted on some companies that are probably more popular, and go from there. And then a little bit less time on companies that no one wants to hear about. So, Philip, howdy back to you. Instacart coming out. You know what? I don't know. And that's one that, so let's go back a little bit. late November, I think I put out like a Hollywood preview edition, and I put all the companies that we were expecting to come out. But at the end, I put like one that we were hoping that we would hear something about, which was Instacart. I specifically left Instacart off of this top 7 that we expected to come out early in 2021, because again, there's just not much more information coming on them. So until I get more, like the latest I know is they have their underwriters picked, but I still, and if I knew this, I forgot, but I still don't think they've actually submitted anything even privately. And without that, I just don't think anything's imminent. However, I really feel that this company probably needs to go sooner than later. They're going to have some fantastic numbers in their partnerships. Like Instacart, if you watch my DoorDash video, which, this is all sort of the same thing, was not a huge fan of buying into that one personally. A lot of people were, and again, it's still trading probably about where it traded on day one. It went up and then it's about there. But Instacart, I think, has a lot more that I might like about them. And I would love to learn more about them, but until I get that filing, I don't really have anything to add. And but it's one I'm very interested in. So when I get that information, probably have a specific video on that one. So thanks for that question. Fifth lookalike, yeah. So thank you for the methodical approach. I'm glad you like it, and I hope I didn't say anything bad about the whole day trading, because it's just more about the last thing I want to do for anybody is be disingenuous and want you to make a move that's going to lose money. And I don't want to be the reason that anyone does it. But what I want to do is, when I've seen things in the past, like when I was talking about Palantir and how everybody loves it and whatnot, it's just about looking at both sides. There's always two sides. Sometimes there's more than two sides. And it's just, you just know, and then you make the best decision for yourself. That's what this channel has always been meant to be. It's not always meant to be on IPOs or SPACs or direct listings. It's really about, let me give you some information, share some of my own personal thoughts, and I'll tell you when it's my own thoughts, when it's my opinion, and then you make the best decision for yourself. So, and again, you guys are just awesome. So, yeah, so back to Elon. So like I said, I knew. So yeah, I have a good memory of a lot of things. So I knew you liked Elon, and I have not heard anything new coming out. I heard some more interesting things about the Boring Company in particular. So boring companies where they're talking about doing tunneling, especially in congested cities, and having basically like electric kind of almost like cars, but it sort of sounds like a subway, but it's not, because you're having these special units that you're not all packed together and whatnot. And to me, like, that might be sooner than later than the other ones. Obviously, the big thing out there is SpaceX, which he's said, and he's contradicting himself a little bit, but SpaceX probably is not coming out soon, but there is the potential of Starlink being spun off. He's said that. And again, just like when he says something, people go with it. And I think Starlink has a lot of potential there. And so that would be one I would be super into if that was to happen, but I don't have any information about that. And Tanvir, I'm glad you like the IPO videos. And again, it's just me trying to always tweak this. And again, I saw I couldn't get a full extensive video out, but the IPO this week really takes a lot of time. And it's not even because I'm coming up with a lot of ideas. As you guys know, I just give you sort of the information. But every time you go into an S1 filing, plus I do try to take a look at different sites and whatever, but I always give you information that's free. I never take from a paid site and put it in there. But most of the information I get is from the S1 filing. But as you guys, if you've ever looked at one, they can be multiple hundreds of pages long. And so it just gets a little much to do it. And so I thought, again, without having the time, let's just talk quickly about some of the companies. So anyways. All right. Yes, I agree. GameStop, that whole situation is and so let me tell you about the GameStop thing. And this is, again, just my opinion of what I think about that whole situation. I think it's fascinating as far as what was done. I'll be the first to, like, the group that did that. And I had went onto Wall Street Bets probably this past summer. And I think, it didn't have anywhere near the 8 million plus people it had in that, but the problem that I have with Wall Street Bets is not about the actual site. It's just, I guess it's because I'm old, but I have trouble understanding what people are saying in there. That's all this lingo in there. But I had solid on there, and I really was impressed with a lot of what people post in there. So I don't know if anybody's on Wall Street Bets there, and if you are, I'm really impressed with a lot with it. And again, if you ever like a good video and you want to share it there, plug, feel free to do that. But because I'm not going to, because again, I can't even speak the lingo. But what they did was fascinating, and it's going to be the story of the year, and it deserves to be, because as someone that, I've sort of taken the approach over time, having went through the financial crisis and the dot-com bubble and all that, that it's really hard to beat Wall Street. So the thing I try to do is like look at the game and try to figure out what I can do to use the system as it is, but try to come out ahead. So again, Maravai Life Science is one of those. I looked at what it was being priced out, thought it was being undervalued on how it was trading, bought it before the quiet period ended. It spiked out of there, came down, and then it spiked again, I think about a week or so ago. And then I sold. So that's just using it. But what Wall Street Bets, by facilitating this whole thing, is fascinating to me. But the concern that I have is the first thing I thought about this is the people that got in quickly. And one of my commenters, and I wish I knew who it was, told me on one day, and if you're on here, I should have followed you, but they told me that they had just had a good jump with GameStop. So it had jumped up to I think in the $30 range. And I looked back and said, wow, I said, it's just from $17. So this is about 3 weeks ago. So this is about probably a week or two before it really took off. I wish I would have looked more into it then, because the problem with these kind of things like AMC and GameStop and all that is if you're not in quickly, and there's no guarantee it's going to go, but if you're not in, you're going to be the person that buys it at $300 thinking it's still going to go to $2,000, and then it doesn't. And so you just got to be really careful to jump into those kind of things. And again, that's just my own personal thoughts. And again, that's just what I want to try to share. It's not telling you not to do it. It's just saying being cautious. And that's really what I'm all about. So anyways, it's a fascinating story, but how that all went is just insane to me. So trying to meet through. Later than this, because it's already late in the evening. Oh yes, so the Inquisitive. So again, this was one of the reasons I wanted to do one earlier. So where are you located at? Let me know later in the comment, because I'm always curious to know where you're from. A lot of people tell me, I have people from Australia. We have people from Germany. Sweden, obviously. This one. So JS Hashway. I don't know if I'm saying that right. So you asked me that one time where your shout out was, and I gave it to you on last week or the week before video. So you got one right there. You were first. But anyways, it is great to see you on here. What do you think about buying Palantir call options? So I'll be the first to tell you, I just don't get into call options. So I'm not the person that is going to act like I know enough to tell you what I think about them. And that's just what I believe. Like, I will never tell you something I don't feel like I'm comfortable or have enough to talk about. So a lot of people have asked me about Bitcoin. The same way. I'm intrigued and want to learn more about it, but I don't feel enough to know it. And so because I tend to, again, invest as a long-term investor, I just shy away from the options. And so it's a great question. I wish I could tell you, but I don't have anything. David, so you bought it on the secondary market before its IPO, Palantir. So I know it spiked after. Did you buy it before they announced the direct listing when it spiked into the $11 range, or did you get it when it's in the single digits? Because if you did, you got to be pretty here. All right, Malik, hey, every once in a while I pop you. Ines, Asana. You're right. I know you're the Asana guy. No one else asks about it. But you're right. They were intriguing too, because they came out the same day as Palantir. It was sort of crazy because direct listings really hadn't been popular, and then bam, we had a couple right there. I think the issue with Asana, and again, I just have not followed up on it. I know the last time I looked at it is because you mentioned it. I believe to me that there was some issue with something in the financials, and I felt that I think there was a couple of things. One, I had a concern with competition, and two, that I want to say that they had some debt that I thought was a little high, but don't hold me to that one. All right, guys. Oh, quarter till. Let me try to go through here. I'm sorry I never can get to all these, but we're not doing too bad here. What are the few things to look at? This is a great question. So PIF Local Life, I really like this question. What are a few things you look at when figuring out if the initial ask price of an IPO is over or undervalued? So the reason why I like direct listings is they don't tell you that. There's no bank that tells you what the IPO price is. And so that tells me I can do more for that kind of stock. Like I can try to figure out what I think's a fair price, give you an idea. With an IPO, you got to keep in mind that the system, it's hard to beat the system, but they are going to price that stock in a way that they're going to come out ahead, so that it's going to be priced a little lower than probably what the stock should be valued. So if theoretically an IPO is priced at $50, you can expect that the big money people, that's their job to know, they might think it's worth actually, $60 to $70. So the other thing that you can do though is, and I'm going to do this on this Bumble one. So, I think I maybe did it in the Palantir one too, but where you look at the valuation and you got to pick a something to look at. So whether you look at price to sales, future sales, or past 12 months or trailing 12 months, you got to pick something, and then you got to try to find a decent competition, and then you can try to an idea like what it is. Now you can do that with any company. It doesn't have to be an IPO. But with an IPO, I'm sort of looking, what does the banks think that the company is worth? What do I look at when I look at how many shares are going to be outstanding? Not what they're selling on that IPO, because remember, that may only be anywhere from 10 to 25% of the total shares. And then just try to figure out like what's the market cap and sort of work from there. And you can get to a price to sales ratio. So I look at that, and it's probably a good idea to do a video on something like that. So it's a great question, and I have to say, like, I've done some videos more early on, and I got away from them with that are really meant to be more educational videos, like like an IPO ETF versus a traditional IPO or SPAC. But people don't tend to watch those as much. And so I just, you're always trying to put where your time is. And like even my analysis videos tend to be watched a lot more than IPO This Week. And it's made me really consider with IPO This Week, like, should it be more targeted instead of just talking about a lot of companies? Because, I could go on and on for each company, but no one wants to watch for 20 minutes. I feel bad for anybody who has to listen to me more than 10. But anyways, let's see. All right. I have no thoughts on HOL or LS. If anybody else does, feel free to add. I don't have any. I'm sorry about that. Malik, if you're up 46%, and the great thing that you have with Asana being, again, a direct listing, and I always want to get Unity and Asana mixed up. So, but they did not have any lockups. So you're sort of past that concern where people with Palantir are looking at the potential big supply of shares hitting the market. So, so if you're up, you're a good thing. Again, the question there is, where do you think you want to be now? Where do you think it's going to go? And again, I have not followed them closely, as I just told you. So, but I'm glad you're up 46%. I mean, that's in less than 6 months, so that's great. I know we're in this market, everybody's like, you got to be up over 100%. Everyone wants to be Kathy Wood and stuff, but and you can be, you can be over the last year, but it doesn't go like that forever. So keep that in mind. Oscar Health, guys are asking me some good questions about. However, I don't have anything I can give you a good one on Oscar Health. I quickly looked them. I know they came out when I wasn't covering them as an IPO. I've so focused on the companies I've covered, and just that was one that didn't come when I was doing the videos. So I really don't have anything to say there. Kim, can you recommend an EV stock? Recommending them is very tough. There's a new one all the time and whatnot. I am I can't recommend one for you. I will tell you, to my point, and I've mentioned this before, I do have Tesla stock. And I'm going to go just a little bit about, again, tell you some of my perspective of that. I bought Tesla stock when I still couldn't justify, like this, every stock I buy, I generally can justify a price. Tesla I bought in March, not all the way at the bottom, but it was working its way down. I bought around $650. So that was before the split. Just recently, I sold about 2/3 of that. And I said that because I just felt like they are just so high. And I know, people say hold it forever. But the way I look at it is I've sold enough that I've paid for the investment I put into it. I've made a profit. I've paid for all the potential capital gains I would have. And so for me, this is all just riding with money. So when people have asked me, like, with Palantir, because again, that's the popular stock on the channel, the thing I would say is it's hard to know what's going to happen. One of those things you can do is whether you're buying or selling is you don't have to do it all at once. Nowadays you don't have to pay a specific transaction for each trade. Back in the old days is if you were going to buy 50 shares of something, you didn't want to buy it over 5 transactions of 10 shares because you paid a commission each time. Now you don't have that. So while again, getting away from your question, but Tesla is still one I believe in, but I believe in a lot because it's beyond what they do with the cars. I think the cars are a big thing, but I really like their potential in the industry, the energy, and what their batteries are doing and whatnot. So there's just so many EV companies, and that probably would be another great video. So maybe that's something I can do is just sort of take a look at the top ones, but there's just so many out right now, and they're probably all overpriced in a lot of ways. So I don't know. What price is fair, Alan? What price is fair value for Roblox? So I haven't came to that yet. But I started working on a video for them when I thought they were coming out in December. And the part I had stopped at was figuring out what I thought would be a reasonable price. Because again, I can't predict the future, and my idea, what I think is just for isn't what it is going to. But when I know that we're more imminent, I'm gonna update that video. I was really surprised at how much it made at this last fundraising. I will tell you, they did the fundraising before they decided they were going to do the direct listing. It went higher than I thought then. So I really have to look at that. I can tell you, if I was predicting in December, I would. It's going to be higher now than what I thought it would be. But again, I'll talk about that. All right, guys, we're getting near the top of the hour. Let's go a little bit, and let me just try to scroll here. CCVI worth the hype. Oh, you're holding me here. Which one that one is? Oh goodness, I'm so sorry. I just can't think off the top of my head with that one, which one that is. If you put it in there, the company's name, I'll get, if I can get to it. Well, you guys there's no way I'm going to get to all of you guys. I'm so sorry here. This is what happens on these on these live streams. We're 55, 56 people on. That's pretty great. What I can tell you, what I will do is I'll go through a few more here before we call it a day. And I always look through the live chat after. And so if there's something something I can follow up on, I'll definitely do that. So really get that. Databricks is one I'm definitely interested in. Affirm is just expensive. I agree. And Affirm I like, Malik. It's just it's weird because it's not a company I would ever use, and I talked about that in that video because of how they do their thing, with the interest. But anyways, when's the Roblox IPO date, Donnie? Talked about that earlier. We're just waiting. It's got a little bit delayed because of the SEC. I talked about it a little at the beginning of the video, so we don't know. But once I do know, I'll know. CCIV and Lucid. Okay. Yes, those rumors I have heard. $34 on rumors is it's really been hard for me on the SPACs because of the, a lot of it's taking information that is based on rumors, and I'm just not sure. I feel like I can add a lot, which is one of the reasons why I haven't focused a lot on SPACs. So I did talk about a few like SoFi, but once they were announced to merge, and I want to do that more targeted, going forward. But no really big thoughts on it. I believe Lucid, they're looking to have pretty expensive cars, I believe. That's how I remember. I really would have to look a little bit more into that one. So great question. But Flimsiendo, what do you think about these electric taxis? I am the electric air, any of this air taxis and all that, like, I think is fascinating. And, the question is the time frame. Just like when, a couple of years ago, we were talking about Tesla, for example, and their autonomous driving. I was very skeptical it would be here, and it really isn't, because there's just so many legal implications. I think, it's just hard to figure out which company you think is going to be the one that can really exceed. I think looking to the future is always a great thing. But again, I probably don't have anything in it. Bill, it's great to see you. I know Bill, the familiar name here. Great to have you. Appreciate the comment. Sam, again, yeah, those thoughts, I just wasn't really prepared on that one today. Sorry. Wish is finally moving. So Wish is okay, great point. Wish is one very similar to what I did with Maribai, where I looked at it and I didn't buy it, but I really thought buying it going into the end of the quiet period, because it was trading below what the big banks thought it should be valued at. And so what you can expect to happen is they come out and they'll say, this stock is great. We're going to have a price target of $35. So the price is going to drive up. So that alone helped, because all the analysts come out. I know people on the channel don't love analysts, and I don't take everything that they say as gospel by any means, but they are, the reality is like that. So their job, so they can look at it. But if you know that they, as a bank, said it's going to be, we think it should be priced at this, and it's trading below that, then when the quiet period ends, they're going to say, wow, this is going to be better. You just know that. I really thought about buying it. I didn't. Wish I would have done it, because it would have been a very quick, turnaround. That's, again, if you're looking at the short-term stuff, which typically I don't do, but I really considered it. But at that time, I had Maribai. That was my pick, and I don't buy a lot on IPOs. I know we talk a lot about them, but it's a very small percentage because they are risky. So to the whole point of risk, but long term, do I know what they're going to do? I don't know. I know they had a lot of consumer people complaints, I guess, that's on shipping and delays and all that. But from my understanding, that's improving, and the more that improves, the better. I will say the same thing though. I was concerned with which company was it now? Oh my gosh, drawing a blank. The company. So on the other flip side though, is the companies that come out way over their IPO price on quiet period ends. There's always a concern that the analysts could come out and say it's going to be a little bit lower. So I always look at that quiet period. So anyway, UiPath is going to be a really good one. Again, I listed them as top 7. I wanted to see, again, just waiting for some more information, and would not be 100% surprised if they did a direct listing, but not really heard that that's what they're looking at. They're earlier on, so usually it's more the established companies, but it just seems like they might be a company that could try the new rule, which again, I will have, anybody joined late, I will have a video on the direct listing. So Jayanti, thank you. You're welcome. All right, guys, we're getting near the top of the hour. I'm trying to just quickly go through here. Okay, you guys, yeah, I'm great. You guys answer each of those questions. That's that's great. Madeleine. Yeah, and again, I think it's so awesome. Especially again, all the way from Sweden. Listen, I really appreciate what you've written in the past, and it's again just so great to have you. And again, I think a lot of people are with you, sort of newer to investing and really just trying to take it seriously. And and again, I can't say I'm a know-all because I'm not, but anything I have seen, is what I try to share, and I really just try to share the information, and then I give, once my opinion, I just try to give it to you. So appreciate that, and great to have you. Okay, I'm just quickly. Sergio, you made it. I know you're familiar names. Pharmaceuticals versus EV stocks. Choose your sector. Boy, that's a great question. Typically, I would say EV stocks, if you're looking at stocks that's going to move right now, if you're looking at it for that. Pharmaceuticals can be a moneymaker, and they're more established, but you're not going to get the big jump in stock prices for the established companies. And I had actually had a video on that too, like on all the pandemic stocks, and I talked about the biotechs, like Novavax and Moderna versus the Pfizer's and the AstraZeneca's and all that, and or the Johnson & Johnson and all that. And really that's what's happened. Like those companies have done okay, but they're not getting these huge gains. For EVs, you have that potential. Of course, you have the potential for it to go the wrong way too. So, you got Airbnb and Affirm. Nice. Big companies there. Good luck with those. I'd love to have Airbnb. I just couldn't spend it at that price. That's just me. If you believe in the company though, and in long term, I do believe Airbnb is a good one, and I think Affirm's solid too. There's a good leader behind it. Those are going to do well. Just I always say that thing is, everybody wants to have gold, but do you want to pay $1,000 for it? Do you want to pay $1 million? It takes a while, and for me, I'm just cheap. I'm the guy. I say this in the comments. I'm the guy that says, I remember when bread costed 25 cents. Now I'm not that old. I don't really remember that, but I feel like everything's too expensive for me. Roblox data break. Oh, those are all good ones. And yeah, we're David. We'll be covering all of those ones. Pauline, hello, great to see you. And I can't wait till COVID is over too. Yes. And AMC, AMC is that's one of those companies where, it's hard to invest in, although unless you're playing against that technical anomaly of people shorting the stock. And again, my fear is on some of those companies now is that's been played out to a point. And so really concerned about when you're late to a party, sometimes you get stuck cleaning up. And so just be careful with it. But again, I don't know what it's going to do. It's not a company, again, that I would be interested in, because even without COVID, which has definitely hurt the business, it's just an industry. I think it's getting smaller. I just see it. And you look for like the EVs, you see, we're going that direction, whether you know it's always going to be like, we're starting to see more with the fuel cell, the hydrogen fuel cells and all that, like versus the traditional batteries, whatever the case is. We're going into that. You want to pick the right industry of the two or the right things, but AMC is just a tough one. But yeah, I want to go to the movies too. Really trying to get caught up. I know we're already past the top of the hour here. And I know I'm starting to miss some. Bumble's valuation. Yes, Starbucks. So like I did that too. I want to talk about that. The Bumble versus Match. And again, I own Match and had a nice jump last week. And, so Kathy Wood, just buy ARK. And again, sometimes I would say this, whether it's Kathy Wood or any ETF. Remember, ETF can really spread the thing. And so one person asked me in another live stream earlier, like, what was one of your greatest moves? And one of my greatest moves, which I didn't say at the time, was actually in the financial crisis, was I wanted to buy a financial stock because it was so beat down, but I didn't know which one because there was ones actually going bankrupt. So I ended up getting an ETF and I bought it 3 times. It kept dropping. The third time was in March of 2009, which ended up being the low point. Within a year, that ETF doubled. And that was not Kathy Wood. That was like a Vanguard one. It wasn't like some crazy hot shot person. But it is a way you can look at it. And Kathy was the hot name. She's doing a lot of great things in which she's looking at to the future. Because again, investing for the future. Again, I know so many people talk about her on different channels. It's hard if I do a video like that, I know, some of you guys will watch, but a lot of times YouTube won't push it, which is really why it's important for you guys to help me get these videos seen, by pushing that like button, by commenting, whatever you guys do, that helps YouTube know that it's something that's worth other people seeing. And again, the more that this channel can grow, the more I'm more likely to spend more time on it. So you guys can help me there. Rob's Rave, another familiar name. Love it. Great to see you here. And Bumble, Roblox, I think are both solid choices there. Gamestop, again, my concern with them is, could they again be past the time to get in? Maybe was a week and a half ago. So I don't know. I don't know. I think Telus did this week. Yeah, I think Aditech was down, I believe, right? And I'm not surprised because they have a lot of debt, and that's just a concern. Shoals and Telus, I like Shoals. In fact, I mentioned that, I went, if you had to pull me on that IPO this week, 2 weeks ago, I said that was probably the one I liked the most. I like them because they're part of the solar industry, but they have a very unique focus, and I think that their competition might be more limited in what they're doing there. So versus just putting like panels out, where there's a lot of companies who can do that. So Telus, again, because I came near the end of the week, and I got busy. I know it was up, but none of those companies were ones I ended up buying into. Of all of them, I probably like Shoals the most. Really quickly, it fumbled. Anyway, and to your comment, Mohan H, and if I can't say these words, I'll sing fast sometimes. I'm glad that you are willing to listen. And again, don't take it as that it's just a perspective. And I think that's what you say it. And again, just something to think about. That's really what learning is. And I learn from you guys. When you guys tell me something, it makes me look into it, or a stock that I wasn't even aware of, I'll look into it. So it's really a two-way street. So thank you. If Bumble doubles on day one, is it still a buy to you? Then it's probably out. It's probably a comparison. It's going to be probably more expensive than Match, and I might not. But if it's prices anywhere near where the IPO is, I think right now it could be. So again, I have that video coming out. UWMC, sorry, I don't have anything on that one up this time. We just talked about last time. Yeah. Sometimes it gets so hot because we've had so many companies come out the last couple of weeks, which again, why I couldn't even get to a full IPO this week. It's hard for me to stay caught up on, especially if it's not ones I'm particularly looking at. And as I'm let's say, most of the IPOs I don't buy. I try to really target which ones that I do. So. Some of those have gotten away from me. It probably would be a nice thing to maybe I'll figure out how to track those a little bit better. Maybe that's something I can do. So it's a great idea. Gold stocks and oil stocks. I love that. For anybody else in the comment that wants to answer that, it's not something I generally invest in. Rumor. I didn't hear that rumor. That would be interesting with Perkins and Pornhub. I didn't know. I don't know. But the issue, in reality would be you're just looking at potential regulatory risk when you're talking about something like that. Dylan, you're asking a great question here, so I'm going to answer that, and then we're already 10 after. Oh gosh. The main resources that I use for researching new IPOs. So there are calendars that are free. You can go on NASDAQ. You can go places like Marketplace or MarketBeat or IPO Scoops, and there's a lot of places you can go. And so a lot of people ask me to find a calendar. You can find those, and those are all free. But typically what I do is NASDAQ does give you a list of the filings, and I try to look at all those filings. So I go right to the S1s. So that's really where I do my research. And then, now I'm not going to lie, sometimes I will follow up with, I try to look at the stock first, get the information I think is important, and then I try to look at what other people have written in articles, places like on on thestreet.com or something like that. Like to see, now not so much the people that have opinion pieces, but the people that are paid to do it, like TechCrunch, like those kind of sites. Those are the, those ones are, I try to see like these people really, this is like their job. And, compared to me, who, again, I enjoy it and I love talking about it, but I'm not an expert. But I like to see how am I finding the right things. So that's what I do. But I always go to the S1. The S1 has a lot of pages. And so that's why I do that. Okay, I'm really going to Bridgetown. Yeah, I'm curious to see. I haven't heard anything recently about them. There was one of those specs I did talk about on a video. And again, we know where we talked about that. We know who's part in that one. Okay, we're getting near the end here. Okay, what do you think about Roblox? Talked a little about Roblox again. I don't know, just because there's a delay with the SEC, expecting it to be fairly short. But when I do, I will have a specific video on both that and the company itself with Roblox. And then again, I will be having a video just for direct listings. Liliana, just what did I miss? You missed about 70 minutes of me talking, and I appreciate anybody that could listen to me the whole 70 minutes. I didn't really give a lot of specifics on the new ones. We did talk at the beginning, so I will put a replay if you would just want to listen to what the companies are coming out. But I was very clear, so don't waste your time if you want to hear a lot of in-depth on the companies coming out. I just gave you a very quick things of what they're about because I just didn't have time this week. Flimsiendo, yes, it is awesome to see all these questions happening, and again, I really appreciate it. And this went longer than I thought. Dylan, yes, great, you're welcome. And Gizmo, I guess you got the $50 for sign up so far. Yes, to Star Buccaneers. Yeah, I talked, I think, a little bit in that one of those videos about Tokopedia being the potential rumor that. But since I did the video, it seemed like that wasn't going to happen. So anyways, all right. If any more questions come, I will look at them afterwards, but I'm going to end this because you guys have stuck here long enough. Thanks again. And again, for you guys, if you can continue, you guys are the ones that I do the videos for. The only thing, I ask is if you can support the channel best as you can by, checking out the videos, hitting that like button, comment like you guys do. Like I definitely, it just helps me. And again, the bigger this community grows, the less likely, no matter as the pandemic changes, because as I shared with you guys in the past, I've done a lot of work where I travel a lot. I would like to transition less and less out of that. And the more this channel can grow, the more you guys can help me do that. So I can focus more on this. So anyways, I don't know if anybody's into the Super Bowl. If you are, hope your team wins. If that team's Tom Brady, though, I'm not rooting for you. I stay away from politics, but not a Tom Brady fan. I mean, I'm probably because I'm jealous of that guy, but whatever the case is, have a great rest of your day. Look out tomorrow for the Bumble video. It should be tomorrow night at the latest. It'll be Tuesday. I'm going to have that together for you guys. So anyways, thanks again for joining. As always, I really appreciate you guys. Love you guys. Take care, and I'll talk to you soon.